introduce you to some possibilities and uses for trying to use screen capture software to give feedback to your students on their drafts of their papers for Comp 1 and Comp 2. Now this is something I've been doing on and off for a while in my writing courses, and the reason I wanted to call it to your attention now is because it's actually easier than ever to do this. There's existing scholarship in Comp, which I'll talk about some in this video, going back to the 70s, of using audio recording to give feedback on student writing that has consistently reported really consistent, really positive findings for this. And since screen capture software has been around or ubiquitous for maybe 10 years or so, we've been seeing research on that is also really positive. Again, this is becoming more easier than ever. If you have a Mac or access to a Mac that has the most recent version of their operating system installed, which is Mojave. This came out in September of last year, I believe. This actually has free and really incredible screen capture software embedded into the operating system, and it's incredibly easy to use and free. So if you are on a Mac, or again you have access to one that is currently updated, just press Shift Command 5. It's just like if you were doing a screen grab of an image, which is Shift Command 4. You do Shift Command 5 and it pulls up these video options. So you can click options here, you can set timers, you can switch between different kinds of recording if you want to use an internal mic or an external mic, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to use that because I'm already recording. And so one of the issues with this can be the quality of the audio in general. Just to give you a sense of what I'm using this Snowball ice condenser, about $30. You can get this pretty cheaply still, and it gives you audio of this quality. If you don't want to spend that much money on a USB mic, there's other options out there that are frankly going to give you really good quality audio. And honestly, I have practiced some videos using this software just using the internal microphone on my laptop, and it's not the best audio out there, but it'll absolutely do for these purposes. You just may have to speak a little bit more loudly or speak a little bit more slowly in order to do that, but you can get really quality audio from any of those sources. Now again, if you're not using a Mac or you don't have the most current operating system installed, you can still do this fairly easily because there's tons of free software out there. The best one that I have found is called Screencast-O-Matic. This is free software, and it works almost exactly the same way that this internal software for the Macintosh system. You'll just download it. The only differences in this, the only sort of downsides is that the free version of the software, it has limitations on file sizes and how long the video can be. I think you can record up to 15 minutes, which is way longer than you need to be able to do for this anyway. And then you have to get paid versions to do additional stuff, but it works almost exactly the same way. If you want to get a little bit more technical, or if you want to have students play around with video editing, you can also use Open Broadcaster software. I've had students use this before. It's open source software, free, so it's really good. It has more stuff built in. If you've ever used Camtasia or something like that, which is paid software, it has a lot of internal video editing tools and stuff like that. But what's nice about the Mac screencasting and Screencast-O-Matic is you don't have to spend time editing video or anything. You just plug in your USB mic, start recording the screen, and then you talk. So if you talk for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or however long, that's the extent of how long the feedback actually takes. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about some of the things we know about why doing this is a good idea and some of the benefits it has to you based on the research that we have. So one resource out there that's really good is this WPA, which is the Council of Writing Program Administrators. They have a WPA Compile Research Bibliography page, which you can see the address for right here. And this is literally just a collection of bibliographic essays about various issues in first-year writing research. And the most recent one that came out in July of 2016 was Audio Response to Student Writing. So a lot of the information in this video I'm pulling from this document, which I have here. So this starts with audio response again back in the 70s, but it takes us up through current day screen capture. And this particular bibliography is really, really nice. It has, again, research going way back with an annotated bib, and then even sources that aren't. I'm pointing to my screen right now. I know you can't see me, but it goes all the way back to the 70s here, actually even earlier than that. So a lot of this stuff is literally professors with cassette tapes recording audio for their students and actually handing them physical old media in that way. So a number of things that we see, I've highlighted some of them here. Hopefully you can pause the video if you want to look at some of this, or you can just download the article and take a read through it. So some of the things that we see consistently reported in this research is that with audio and screencasting feedback, students tend to revisit feedback more often and spend time with it. And we know that in a couple of ways, not just from students reporting that they do that, but also from some of the applications that we have now that can actually show us how often a student opens a file, how much time they spend with it, and so on and so forth. And with audio and video, students do actually spend a lot more time with it. Now, reports from student preferences on this have consistently told us that students see the commentary as feeling less prescriptive, less evaluative, and more like a conference. And I think that intuitively makes sense, right? If you have conference with students one-on-one, even a student who's been struggling with the course, we tend to have that experience that they understand the feedback in that way a lot better, and it builds more of a personal relationship with the instructor. So you can kind of remediate that a little bit with screen capture software. Students also report, and instructors as well, that feedback tends to be more detailed and makes the instructor seem approachable. So you can obviously see some of the benefits here and imagine how you could use that in a screen capture video of being actually able to pull up resources, show students how to find a source in the library, those various kinds of things. So you can do a lot more teaching in a medium like this than you can from just typing out feedback. Although you can do that with typing out feedback, right? But it is going to end up taking you a really, really long time to do that. The other thing that I think is really beneficial, particularly for those of you teaching 2, 3, 4 courses in a semester, is that this takes a lot less time to do. There's a fatigue that sets in when you're typing comments. When I do typed written feedback, I do really extensive stuff, and it can take a very long time, which can be frustrating if students aren't using it as much. And the research does show that many students don't really use their written feedback as much because they associate it with evaluation and sort of their writing being judged a little bit more. So that it's saving you time may sound a little counterintuitive, particularly with some of the technological stuff with doing video here. But I can assure you, if you practice with this a little bit, once you get your initial setup going, it's going to save you a ton of time, and it has these other benefits as well. Now, I know a lot of you are already doing some of this work, and many of you do audio feedback. Audio feedback will obviously save you a ton of time. You won't get the video component of it, but it's still really useful. So a couple of ways that you might approach this, and I have shared some sample videos with Dr. Lewis that she will send to you or give you links to. I'm not sure how she's going to do that. But obviously you can do individual screencasts for every student, and so I've given you an example of individual feedback for a student from a comp class of mine. That video is way longer than it needs to be because I was doing the video as a means to show you some of the different things you could do with it. I think it's about 13 minutes. That's way too long. Most of your videos could probably be 3 to 5 minutes, and you would get tons of feedback that way, and you can really pace out how long you're going to spend responding to student drafts that way. The other thing you could do, and I think this could be really useful for those of you with high teaching loads who have never done this before, when I have larger classes, I'll do this. You can do a single screencast video for the entire class. So you pull in the drafts that you get, and then you do a somewhat longer video. I think this one is about 20 minutes, where you just talk on a macro level about the trends and things to address that scale across the entire classroom in a very general way. And that's similar to what you would do if you did that in a lecture, but students can then revisit this and they can cast it in terms of their own papers. So when I do this, what I do is I have, one video or one audio file that talks through these various things in terms of the grading rubric. You'll see that if you check out that video. And then individual students, I still send them light commentary on their drafts, but rather than doing a long terminal comment at the end the way we would typically do, I pull up the Word document and I make one or two marginal comments on the side that kind of point to things in terms of the content talked about in the video. And then if they have things particular to their essays that weren't covered in the video, I can cover that as well, or meet with them one-on-one. And even if you don't want to do that written feedback that's going to take you too much time, you can do the sample, you can do the whole class video, and then do individual conferences with students or do small group conferences with students. So there's a lot of different ways you can imagine how you would do this feedback. And I'm talking about a lot of the really positive benefits here. There are a couple of concerns that I think you want to look out for, particularly if you decide to do screencasting. And one of the real problems here is just the capaciousness of these files and how long it can take to upload them and transfer them. If you're doing screen capture, particularly with good audio and good video quality, you're going to be producing very, very large file sizes that you're not going to be able to share via email or D2L or anything like that. What I will typically do with this stuff is I will set up a Google Doc folder for my students. This is for a graduate student I'm advising who may or may not be in the room right now. So I will set up files, and then I can upload their feedback both in their written commentary and in the video there. So that makes it a little bit more quick, and you don't have to be downloading files or anything like that. You just drag and drop them into the box. Another possibility for how you might do that, that still takes some time and uploading files, so it may be a bit frustrating for you. I have even done stuff where I just require every student to buy a USB storage device, and when they turn in their drafts, they just put them on those flash drives, turn them into me, and then you can record the screen capture videos directly onto that USB file, so you don't waste any time in terms of uploading or transferring files or anything like that. Another thing you'll want to think about is just accessibility for students that maybe are hearing impaired or who need a text document for various reasons. But there is still free dictation software out there. This is not the best, but Google Docs does have free dictation built into it. And you simply go into your Google Docs, click Tools, and then you'll go down to Voice Typing. And click here to speak. So if I just start talking into this, comma, it's just like sending a text message on your iPhone, period. New paragraph. You have to, speak in those commas and punctuation marks and various things, but it does a pretty good job of taking your voice and converting it to text, especially once you've played around with it a bit, period. So you could have this in the background, recording the text while you're speaking. That's not going to be the best option because it's not going to put in paragraph breaks or punctuation or anything like that. You would have to go back and edit it. If I were doing this for a student, what I would probably do is I would do the dictation of my feedback first, and then I would record the screen capture video and just read from that, and that will probably be the quickest way to do that. But there is that out there for you as well. So just to wrap up, just resources that are out there for you. So again, you've got the sample videos that Dr. Lewis will be sharing with you. The one thing I would ask here is with the sample videos for the single class and the whole class, please don't share those online or anything like that. I have permission from those students to use them for teaching purposes, but I mean, they're still at the university. I wouldn't want those being widely broadcast or anything like that, since it's analyzing some of their writing. There again is the WPA compiled bibliography that you can go to that breaks down all this research for you. And then finally, I'm another resource for you as well. I'm actually in the process of designing a research study about some of this. So I'm very interested in this, and any of you who would want to work with me or talk about this or ask questions or get feedback on anything, I'm more than happy to do that even while I'm on sabbatical. You can email me or we can video conference anytime about this. So just let me know if you're interested, and I hope you all have a productive semester.